You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast, where it has been a hell of a couple of days of sport. We've had controversy as a couple of, it was a Wimbledon double of former banned failed drug testers. We've had upsets and surprises as Chelsea have managed to confirm themselves as the best team on the planet for 4 years. And in a competition that I now care about deeply as a Chelsea fan and think is very important and not at all contrived. And of course, we've had today's play, which was it was a longer affair than I anticipated, and I was hoping it was all going to be nice and wrapped up by the afternoon, so I could focus on work, as I'm sure you did as well, Ross. But as it happened, we didn't get that luxury, and I was half in the cricket, half in the work, and probably did a bad job of watching the cricket and doing my job. So never mind. But here we are. We're here to talk about it. Ross is with me. How are you doing, Ross?
I'm knackered. That's what I am after an enthralling day. It was. I can't imagine how Ben Stokes feels. That's what I was going to say.
Are you more knackered than Ben Stokes? Do you think?
Well, as a spectator, it's always difficult. Like, you're so emotionally invested. Like, I might as well have bowled those overs myself. But what a spectacle! That's what you want, right? On a fifth day, a pitch that is doing little bits here and there. Both teams kind of like slugging at it. It really did have everything, how bloody brilliant that we got to see India unfortunately capitulate. I thought they were favourites coming into this. Yesterday on the podcast with Jack and I said it was kind of 60-40 in India's favour. Jack thought it was 70-30 in India's favour. I kind of thought that if you take a couple of wickets early on, it's going to be very, very difficult, and we'll kind of get into that. But yeah, I mean, Jofra Archer, he is back, baby.
Absolutely. It was, as you said, so it ended the day yesterday 58 for 4 after Akashdeep was castled by Ben Stokes. Who else? And so pretty simple equation. 6 wickets for England, rather, and 135 runs for India to chase down. And things got off to a pretty decent start for England. There was a threat of Rishabh Pant doing Rishabh Pant things, but we did remember that he had one hand that he could bat with. He does pretty well as a guy who bats with one hand, but Jofra Archer did pretty well to remove him, followed up by Ben Stokes removing KL Rahul, and England were well into it, probably back on top at that point. There was a little bit of a repulsion, I suppose, from India towards England's bowlers. They didn't really go anywhere, but they settled things down. And just as Washington Sundar fell and Wokes managed to remove NKR with still plenty of runs left to go, it looked like England were going to canter home, and it would all be wrapped up, and we'd all have a nice early finish, but not to be. Jasprit Bumrah faced 54 balls. Mohammad Siraj faced 30 balls. Ravi Jadeja faced 181 balls as they eked the game out. We were even getting to the point where we thought a new ball might come into play. Such was the slow pace of scoring. But in the end, Shoaib Bashir, he was the man to finish the game off with an absolute ripper through the defences of Mohammad Siraj. Unplayable. Shoaib Bashir, England's hero, and they managed to wrap things up with 22 runs to spare. A curiosity, as noted, that was exactly the score that Zach Crawley scored in the second innings. So the difference between the two sides, obviously, Zach Crawley, Ross. But firstly, because I think there's been like a lot of chat about, there's been needle, there's been, ball changes, complaints about overrates, all sorts of stuff going on throughout this test match. What's your rating, or your view of how good a game this was? Because it ended up getting pretty exciting towards the end. But was it a great test match? That's what I'm asking you.
I think it was like almost like a traditional test match. So if you were to take kind of that was what it was. Like, you had 5 days where the pitch, like, it was pretty boring, right? The first couple of days, like, it was after both innings and they're both having the same score, you kind of been like, it's a little bit dull. But also the other side has been like, oh, that never happened. So it was very exciting. You kind of needed the bit of needle to kind of get into it. And I thought, like, it was perfect. Like, the last 2 days of cricket were absolutely excellent. And when you do have a terrible ball. Like the ball was kind of doing enough for 15 overs, 20 overs, and then you kind of get into this real drab thing where actually most professional batters can kind of do all right, and you have to get
even bowlers apparently.
Yeah, you're trying literally trying to eke every single bit out of that as possible. I thought it was fantastic in the end, and I like all the histrionics, as I said yesterday. Like I like that people are in people's faces. I like people giving people the send off. Like it should mean so much to play for your country, and it should mean so much that they've been playing kind of at Lords in that kind of situation, being like elite level sport or sport in general doesn't get any better than that. And to watch it today, like I think India will be bitterly disappointed. I think that they went into their shell. England bowled well, don't get me wrong, but there didn't seem to be a plan. It seemed like the Chennai Super Kings plan of take it deep, take it deep.
Well,
unfortunately,
if CSK guy there, haven't you?
Unfortunately, and annoyingly, I hate it when Jack's right, but we kind of talked about last night of like Akashdeep being out there. If Akashdeep was down the order today and they had a normal batting order, they might have just eked out enough time to do this tactic. But Rishabh Pant might well have not been out last night if he went in ahead of Akashdeep. KL Rahul might still been there, and they might have had a bit of a partnership. Instead, it was coming in, new batter, all that kind of stuff. And I just kind of think, maybe the night watchman wasn't the right thing to have done. And some of the way in which their team batted. I mean, the ball that got Pant out, Jofra Archer, that is him at his like very, very best, right? Especially the ball before the Pant had kind of come down the pitch and smashed him. Washington Sundar. Mate, he was having the test of his life, and he had Gabba, right? He had Gabba.
He went too far, didn't he?
He literally opened his mouth. He opened his mouth, and he ruined it all.
We've got Rostradamus on this pod. I think Wasstradamus is something that India might want to be a little careful of. But
it was.
I mean, you're into the tactics there, aren't you? I mean, that's where we're heading with this bit. So I mean, you said India went into their shell. I mean, I would agree. I think. I mean, for me, I think it was. We can talk about the way Jadeja batted towards the end, but for me, I think it was before that it started to go wrong. And it was that little session before lunch where Jadeja was batting with Washington Sundar and NKR, and like they're capable, right? I mean, okay, Sundar was out fourth ball, so kind of irrelevant. But when you got Jadeja and Nitish as the last pair, and they didn't, like you said, they just sort of let England bowl at them, didn't they? And is that where you think it went wrong mainly for India, or was is there something else to it, or
I think
was it more?
I think the occasion probably got to them here. Like if you look at that, like Washington Sundar and Nitish Kumar already, no Indian cricket fan, unless you're a bit harsh, is blaming them for losing this Test match, right? You're literally at a sellout Lords where you've got so much emotion going through it. You've got literally all the England players kind of in your ear, in your face every single second. Like it's a hostile atmosphere, but you kind of look that Bumrah and Siraj managed to face 80 odd balls between them.
I mean, they have more than done their job, right? In that scenario, you've got and it's a number 10 and 11. It's not just a number 10 and 11, right? England's number 10 is I say he's Jofra Archer. He's probably better at batting than both of them, but maybe not a guy who's going to stick around and face 54 balls kind of better. But they're both quite bad number 10s and number 11s, right? So for them to face 84 balls between them, you think like they've more than done their bit, right? And you just need, if you're going to pull off, and like let's be fair to Jadeja, right? It's a fairly mammoth effort from him to get it as close as he did, and maybe 2 more runs and they got it to under 20. Maybe then he tries to tee off and get a few boundaries, and he does win it if the unfortunate doesn't happen to Mohammad Siraj as it does in the end. Maybe it was that close, but I do just think when you're 10 and 11 have faced 84 balls, you do have to take a little bit more of the run scoring responsibility to make the victory.
But this is where I think that Jadeja didn't do a good job, Max. I'm of a different opinion. I think if you've got Bumrah and Siraj facing as many deliveries as they've done, that is a dereliction of duty from Jadeja to marshal batting with the tail. Like, they should not have faced that many deliveries and had that opportunity to do it. And Jadeja, like regardless of the situation, like, he's been able to face 181 deliveries, more than anyone else has faced on here. And you'll sit there go, you've got to take a risk at some point. He charged Wokes and smashed him for 6, which was good, but you're just a bit like, you cannot expect to get and to survive, or for Bumrah and Siraj to survive. And as you said, they did more than enough. But I think if you unfortunately if you're blaming people in this team, like, it's got nothing.
Which we have to, because when someone loses, you have to blame people. That's the
Washington Sundar opening his mouth, that immediately is a
number one
immediate problem. But if you look, Jaiswal threw away his wicket. The Karen Nair has not been able to deliver in this series. I think the decision making to move the batting order around was the wrong one, bringing Akashdeep there, and then also sending in Washington Sundar ahead of Nitish Kumar already. Didn't quite understand the logic of that one, especially as Jofra Archer was kind of coming in. Like,
I was just going to say, that's the thing. Like, Jofra Archer, he's a left-handed killer.
Yeah, so I didn't understand the logic on that one. So
3 wickets in that innings, all left-handers.
And he was bowling sharp as well, like absolutely like 92-mile-an-hour bouncer coming in, just like the first ball that I think Nitish Kumar already faced. It was just like, whoa, I'll get out of the way of that one. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Max, let's talk about those tactics then on the bowling front, because it would have been easy for Stokes to bowl Carse, because Carse was bowling particularly well last night. Stokes decides to pretty much bowl himself the whole day.
24 overs he bowled in this innings.
Yeah, that is
8 more than anyone else.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? But
was it ego? Was it Ben Stokes' ego?
I think some of it is ego, some of it. But like, here's a machine, but the machine does break down when it needs some new parts, right? So I think there is a little bit of he may have won the battle here, but actually, is he going to be able to see out the war across the rest of the series? There's no way he's going to be able to bowl like that in the next 2 Test matches. And it was kind of that point now of, well, what is going to happen in this lineup? I'm guessing they're going to keep the same side.
He does have 2 weeks to rest.
Yeah, so but I mean, that is still not insignificant. And Jofra Archer coming back, like, Jofra looked fit, right? He bowled really, really well, fielded really, really well as well. The caught and bowled to dismiss Sundar was fantastic. And Wokes turned up in the second innings, but I think it was interesting, I thought, but I guess their hand was slightly forced, right, because of the broken finger of Shoaib Bashir. So. Yeah,
I mean, I think you got to give Shoaib Bashir a fair amount of credit, actually. I think for given I think it seems fairly clear that actually it's quite a bad injury. It was pretty heavily strapped up when he was on the field towards the end, and bowling the overs he did. It was a bit of fielding. He did, didn't he? Where he was quite visibly in pain. He went out and batted when he could have easily said, "No, I don't want to bat." So I think definitely good on him for that. And he did pretty well in this Test match, didn't he? I mean, he did well. He did okay in the first innings. I thought he did a good job in the second innings. He challenged Jadeja with the ball well, and he kept things tight and meant that, because quite often the spinner is the one when you're in that kind of chase, the spinner's the guy you go after, right? I mean, I'm thinking back to, obviously there were loads of comparisons being made with Ben Stokes and Headingley and that ridiculous Test match, and thinking about how he absolutely went after Nathan Lyon towards the end, and Shoaib Bashir managed to, but partly India's tactics, of course, but he managed to keep things quiet. So credit to him there. I think
the dismissal was bonkers as well.
The dismissal was insane. It was pure England.
I've never seen a cricket ball do that before. I've never seen that happen.
It was like Jamie Smith had a magnet. Like, it sort of hit a roll of iron inside the ball and just had a magnet behind the sun. It's like, come on. It was proper weird. If we're talking conspiracies, maybe that's a route for Sonny G and co to go down. But I think you talk about tactics from India. interested in what you think about England's tactics throughout the day as well, because they got to a point where they were well on top. They got when India were 8 down basically. It was, you're expecting it to be near enough game over. Was there anything England could have done differently to prevent India from taking it as deep as they did? Were they a little bit, I don't know, should they have attacked Jadeja more given the way he was playing, or do you think actually they did a pretty good job of just making India have to play as many balls as they did and thinking eventually something's going to give?
Yeah, I think they always had to respond to what India were doing, right? India weren't coming out and kind of attacking. And so I think there is a little bit of being obdurate when it's kind of such a soft ball, and it kind of works into their favour. And so England always had to prize those wickets out. And there was that part of like India went, no, we're going to wear this by kind of attrition. And let's be fair, it almost worked. Right, 20 runs is sod all runs, right? There's a couple of boundaries here and there. Or it's a kind of was it about half of the buys that Jofra gave away in the previous innings? Who knows? But I think England kind of probably got it right. I think Stokes probably should have given some other people a bowl rather than himself. But at the same time, he is Ben Stokes, and he is England's talisman. And I think that if England were to lose in that situation, with him having giving other people the responsibility, he almost doesn't want to wear that. He wants to be the person who is kind of there leading from the front and being like, no, if I'm going to ask other people to do this at the other end, I'm going to be the one doing it at the other end. And I think you can kind of have a level of respect for that, because ultimately it has worked out.
Yeah, you could say ego. You could also say a lot of people obviously at the time when Ben Stokes was bowling his 9-10 over spells, it's let's give Jofra Archer a go. Come on, it's time for Joff. But at the end of the game, he was saying, well, I probably bowled more overs than I was expecting to in this match. So actually, because he bowled 23 and a bit in the first innings. Arguably, Ben Stokes is saying, well, I'm going to be the guy who carries the can here physically. I'm going to protect my other bowlers, and I'm going to take the lead. So that is, another way of looking at it. And there's also been, he's not done it with the bat lately. People talking about Ben Stokes as the guy for the big moments, but what big moments have we seen him put on for England lately? It's the anniversary of the 6 years to the day since the World Cup final where Ben Stokes was instrumental in that chase. And just as everyone's questioning where he's gone and where his big moments are, he's come up and done it again. Man of the match, and a big performance from England's talisman. So he's still Ben Stokes. He's still the iconic hero that we know and love. You did mention Dhruv Jurel's buys, so I think that is the segue we need to ask. We talked about today and the tactics and how it went, but it was a fairly simple equation in the end, right? Like there's a limited amount we can get into there, but in the test match as a whole, where do you see it being won and lost? Was it the 36 buys from Dhruv Jurel, which as a wicketkeeper and a member of the Wicketkeepers Union, I am going to blame the bowling attack for, because let's be reasonable.
I think when it comes to it, it's very, very difficult. Like, he's been parachuted in, right, to come and get those in. I think Lords is notorious for being quite difficult to wicket-keep on as well because of the slope. I think it also means that it's more difficult to bowl as well. So therefore, there's going to be more kind of either leg side deliveries or kind of ones that you're doing. India almost had a great test match. Like if you equal out the first innings score and then you bowl the team out for less than 200, like you typically win the test match. Right, they did everything that they should have probably done.
The bowlers certainly did their bit, didn't they?
Yeah, you can't be turning around if Washington Sundar had a fantastic game. Mohammed Siraj had a really good game with the ball. I thought very, very threatening. Bumrah is obviously always Bumrah. They bowled 12 of England's players out. They bowled at the stumps. They really attacked it. It was exactly what they should have done. And yeah, it was a pretty spectacular performance. But if you compare to your first question around, you compare Jamie Smith and Jurel, they've had to keep on the same thing Jamie Smith had to have a bat. Jarrell's just kind of got to do just fielding, and Jamie Smith comes out with a pretty great record. I don't think there was any buys in the second innings of India that he gave away. So yeah, it is an important part. I don't think we're going to blame Jarrell for losing this Test match. I think it just comes down to the Indian batting lineup in the second innings. Like, everything else was kind of fine. You should be chasing down 192. You just should. So
yeah,
they had more than enough time to go and do that. So.
Yeah, fair enough. It was that middle order didn't fire, did it, in that chase? And yeah, I guess you gotta put your money where your mouth is in that kind of.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Gautam Gambhir, like Gambhir's the guy who's made this decision, right? You can expect.
Yeah,
I
assume
think,
so.
Yeah, I think like
it's better for the narrative that we blame Gambhir as well. So
yeah, I think if you look at it, like, yeah, the night watchman, bad decision. Kind of, you can't do anything about an injury. Pant's going to be Rishabh Pant. You're not going to blame Pant in that kind of situation. Washington Sundar put so much unnecessary pressure on himself. Then it just wasn't. It was never going to work out. I don't know what you kind of thought. And yeah, in that space, and just like switching around the batting order didn't seem right around the Nish Kumar Reddy thing. So yeah, but overall, they had plenty of time to win this Test match. They came up against what was like, at different points in this afternoon was a tired bowling attack, right, of Ben Stokes, and could have gone after them a couple of times and taken a few more risks if you're Jadeja. Like, all Jadeja has to do is risk 3 or 4 boundaries, and actually he's been batting enough time to figure out when he can do that. And I just think it was poor ultimately.
Yeah, if anything, it's sort of it was a bit more like the approach, I suppose, was a bit more like India in the first Test, where they kind of let England off the hook a little bit, I think, on occasions, where in the second Test they were relentless, right? They ground England into the dust. They absolutely pulverized them. And with a chase of 192, having bowlers done the job, England would have been targeting more than that. You do feel like there was a level of, relentlessness that was needed. Started with Jaiswal and getting out to Archer the way he did, and went from there, I suppose. But I think if you're an India fan, like you say, it was such a close game, and it's going to sting, right, from getting so close to an unlikely win and not making it, that it'll hurt. But you do have to take like a lot of, I think, positivity out of the performance in general, like the bowling unit. Maybe there's a couple of holes in there, but that was always going to be the case. It's still a team that's kind of in transition, and it's coming to England, and it's outplaying England a lot of the time in those 3 Test matches. So even though they've come away losing,
if they did have Virat Kohli, they'd win this Test match. If they had Ravi Ashwin, they'd win this Test match.
Well, I don't know. If they had Ravi Ashwin, they wouldn't have Washington Sundar bowling.
Oh yeah, but
22. So
you got the big brain.
Big brain.
No, I think Max. I think you hit a really important point there. I think like this India team is in transition, and they'll learn a lot from this kind of Test match, right? They've still got there's a really inexperienced kind of lineup in some of their players, but from a Test, like maybe not from an age perspective, but from a Test match playing perspective. And
we thought they were mad, right?
They're still alive. They're still alive in this Test match, in this Test series, right?
It went into the second Test. We thought they were mad, like picking Washington Sundar and Nitish to lengthen the batting order. We thought they'd like lost the plot and gone into their shell and done the classic India thing. And Washington Sundar's taken 4 for 22. Nitish Kumar Reddy's chipped in with some really important wickets,
yeah.
Like,
oh, well,
it's you're thinking, well, maybe maybe they have got it right. Maybe Washington Sundar is the second coming of Ravi Ashwin. Who knows? If I hear another comment from Ian Ward about how much drift Washington Sundar gets when he bowls, I am going to throw my television out the window. But I think that's
Ian Ward in general, like. Yeah, Ian Ward's commentary in general, I think, is not very good.
And also like a point.
He seems to want to have sex with Ben Stokes. So.
Yeah, well, who wouldn't, eh? A point for also like England whingers, because they exist. They probably don't listen to us because we don't like doing it. But people who like, there's been chat about how letting Dhruv Durrell keep because Rishabh Pant has got done his finger in but can still bat is a joke and like against the rules, and like it's obviously not. It's just part of the rules and totally acceptable. But yeah, maybe the fact that Jofra Archer came in is the reason England won this Test match. So maybe they can all get back in their box and stop whinging. A couple of dodgy fingers. Bashir is going to be out for Old Trafford. Last point, Ross, I think, before we wrap this up. We'll do a proper preview nearer the time, and we'll probably have more of an idea. But what do you think? Is it going to be England, big brain, Jacob Bethel in for Shah Bashir in a nonsense batting order, or will England do something probably more sensible and pick an actual spinner? Maybe it'll be someone like Jack Carse, and maybe Liam Dawson will finally get to play. Where's your money?
I reckon they end up picking another pacer because Ben Stokes won't bowl too much.
Interesting.
So, welcome Jamie Overton or Sam Cook.
Jamie Overton. Well, I was at the Oval yesterday, and Jamie Overton was bowling absolute gas. So that is the prime quality England look for in bowlers still, isn't it? A man who can bowl over 90 miles an hour. So I would not be shocked, to be honest, to see Jamie Overton in whites again in a couple of weeks. But we will see. England
Also,
two. Yeah.
Batting wise, Max. Also, like, who has to hit runs in the remainder of these Test series to make sure they're on the plane to Australia? Because
Crawley and Pope.
Like, it's a bit worrisome, isn't it, for that at the moment? And England leaving it late to then bed in somebody else with a new opportunity. So,
I mean, I feel like the decision's made on Zach Crawley, isn't it? He's just staying forever. And I honestly, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what he's got. I think maybe the K in Zach stands for compromat. That's the only thing I can imagine about why he's still in that England side, because it's getting a bit ridiculous now, isn't it? Is he still averaging over 30, or has he gone under 30 yet? It's getting there. And as a lot of Lions has pointed out in the chat, the second innings Pope is a bit of a concern as well. I mean, that is a clear trend that Ollie Pope is bad in the second innings, and it is quite an important bit of the game. So maybe that's the noose they use to hang Ollie Pope and bring Jacob Bethel into the side. We'll see.
Quite possibly.
On the back of a win, I can't see anyone changing it. So we will see. But yeah, I think I'll probably leave it there, shall we, Ross? So you can go home.
That sounds great. Thank you ever so much for having me, Max, as always. And I look forward to being back on the podcast at the second test, or the third test match, the fourth test match.
You make it sound like you're a guest, Ross. Although
I'm a guest. It's fine. I need to rekindle my hosting status.
Yeah, great to have you and talk to you, and thank you everyone for joining us. We will be back soon, I'm sure, with some with preview action of the next test and whatever else is going on. But till then, see you soon, and enjoy the sun. Bye-bye.